Melanie Deziel is a keynote speaker, award-winning brand content creator, and the author of the best-selling marketing and business communications book, The Content Fuel Framework: How to Generate Unlimited Story Ideas, as well as the upcoming Prove It: Exactly How Modern Marketers Earn Trust. Melanie is also the co-founder and VP of marketing at GroupUps, a buying group that helps dental professionals save on equipment and purchases. We're happy she's here. Melanie, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have a really interesting bio. Why don't you just tell us kind of how you got here?
Yeah, so I started out in journalism. I studied journalism at the time when I thought I was going to go into like a dusty old newsroom and like wear a fedora and all that.
Yeah.
I I joke that my education included one computer assisted reporting class. So like that's the level of reporting we were learning, you know?
Wow.
Um, but obviously, by the time I graduated, it was a very different market. And so I realized I had all these skills around storytelling, around talking to people, around like, chasing your curiosity and finding answers. And there weren't as many jobs in the digital media space as there were in the old analog days. So
Yeah.
I found my way into marketing pretty quickly and kind of had a journey that focused on building out branded content teams at some major publishers. So I worked at Huffington Post to build out the team that created all their sponsored content, sponsored by advertisers. As the first editor of branded content at the New York Times and built out a very similar team there to create content on behalf of advertisers.
Yeah.
And then my last stop before I made the leap solo was to Time Incorporated. So that's like Fortune, Time, Sports Illustrated, Money Magazine, and a bunch of others where I was doing something similar there at the corporate level.
Awesome.
Um, so
Great
like a lot of different
experience.
titles and places, but always around this idea of how can I help brands and companies kind of tell their story in a way that's going to be more interesting, more compelling, more engaging with the audience they're trying to reach.
I know content can be really good. So when you're talking about branded content, a brand is paying for content, sort of like an advertorial or something. Is that
Yeah,
what we're
exactly.
talking
So in
about?
the context of a media company like the New York Times, it means a brand, maybe let's say an insurance company, or we worked with Goldman Sachs as an example, and they wanted
Yeah.
to do a big piece explaining the capital markets and how that works, sort of understanding we got to educate our audience a little bit on these
Mm,
things if we want to be able to have a more advanced conversation. So, the content is created in an ideal world, at least in a world where I have any say, in a way that's very similar to how you'd see it editorially. So we're not talking about the brand a whole bunch. We're not pushing it we don't want it to have that like slimy salesy feel. That's not what we're
yeah.
going for. We're really trying to create value. Um, so we created an awesome interactive piece that just kind of walked through how the capital markets work. And it just says, sponsored by Goldman Sachs. So they provided the funding for the team to be able to build that big piece out, but it wasn't necessarily selling any individual product or anything.
Gotcha. I mean, content is very powerful when done properly. All right.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
going back to ortho, let's just in general, why is content important for an orthodontist or a dentist out there?
I mean, there's so many reasons. I know it's really difficult when you're a practitioner slash business owner, right? Because you're so caught up in the day to day. It's easy to forget that like we also have to work like on the business, not just in it,
Yes.
right?
Mm.
Um, but yeah, content is key for a lot of reasons. It helps you tell your story, and we know that a lot of this patient retention stuff is a relationship business. So the more your patients get to know you, it kind of helps you with that retaining. It also helps keeping in touch with folks, getting them back in for regular service to make sure that we're not sort of having lapses in treatment that cause more problems down the line by engaging with them via email. And there's just lots of ways that it can help you get discovered, help you bring in new patients, helps with patient flow. But I think at the end of the day, it really does come down to kind of telling your story and being able to talk to your audience, your patients, your potential patients in a way that's going to make them trust your expertise. Because I think that trust is kind of at the core of everything.
Yeah, I think that trust is really, really important. And putting content in the right places also. Where would you put the content if you're an orthodontist, for instance?
Yeah, so the first place you want to do is I always say you want to build on owned land, not rented land, right? So your
That's a good way to
website
put
is
it.
kind of that should be your home base, right? Because
Hmm.
you have full control of that content, whether you're doing video, you're writing content, maybe you're making infographics, I don't know, whatever floats your boat. But you want that to live on your website where you have control and where you're also gaining sort of the favor of all the search and algorithmic overlords who rule our web traffic.
The
So if you
overlords, yes. I was
I
just
mean,
reading of the new Google update. That's a whole podcast
I
episode in of
know,
itself.
I
It'll be
know.
very
Well,
interesting what that does to everyone.
I mean, I'm just calling it like it is, right? But we have to appeal to them in some ways. So,
Oh yeah, for sure.
talking about these things helps make sure that if we are, if our customers are searching for a service like us in an area where we are, we want to make sure that we're coming up. So we need to be using those keywords. We need to be making sure that we've got all the information folks are looking for. We're usually pretty good about things like hours and schedule an appointment, but there's probably other questions that, potential patients are asking and wondering about before they're ready to make that leap to make an appointment or to call in.
Yeah, I remember we were at the Inbound HubSpot conference pre-COVID when they actually had
Yeah,
conferences again. I think they're finally having it again this year.
they
But
are.
and they were saying just start writing down, one speaker, just write down all the questions people ask you like every single day. Just keep a list.
Yeah.
You
Oh
know.
man, I went to the last one I went to I think was 2018. I missed the very last before lockdown, but yeah, Inbounds is such a good event, and that's one of the tricks that I tell folks all the time. It's like every question that you're being answered, that you have to answer, or every email that takes you more than 4 minutes to write, there's a good
Yes.
chance that that's like an idea for content because someone else is wondering the same thing.
Yeah, because I know a lot of doctors tell me like, oh, I explained it, but the patient is so overwhelmed. Like how much, I wish you could like see how much of it entered their brain and consciousness
Yeah.
versus just like, because you
Yeah.
never know. It's like, well, we could, send them an email lead nurturing sequence with the same video.
Yep.
And if they're like, oh, what was that again? And they could just watch it over again. That
Yeah,
can
I
be
mean,
very
or
powerful.
there's other formats too. I mean, if you're talking about a routine, you need them to follow, I mean, a checklist or a calendar that marks things on a certain date, every
Yeah.
2 weeks you need to do this kind of thing. I think that we think of online content mostly because that's where a lot of our content consumption happens, but
Hmm.
like printable content, things like checklists and calendars and stuff can also be really valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So any other particular ways content is important for an ortho?
I mean, I think there's we talked about the search element, the telling your
Yeah.
story element. Um, I think when you think of the retention capabilities, we hinted at that a little bit. But
Yeah.
again, I think reaching out regularly via email is kind of one of the biggest missed opportunities in many cases. A lot of times we have automations for things like appointment reminders, or it's time for some sort of regular check-in. But there's opportunity to use that kind of follow-up to further grow the practice. So things like, for certain periods of time after you've helped someone, I mean, they've completed their case, then go out and ask them to refer a friend or to
Hmm.
leave a review, right? To engage with you on social media. There's lots of other options for ways we could reach out and kind of keep that relationship going longer than just when they walk out the door with that smile the last time.
Yeah, and it's nice when you can also use social media to see what content. It's almost like research. Oh, that really
Yeah.
worked. Maybe we should use that in some of our
Yeah.
sequences, later on.
100%. I think you can see and you follow that same questions rule, right? So if you're looking
Mm.
for some of the key words around whether it's the services you offer or local is really big in this space, right? Obviously, for the most part, we serve patients who are within a certain radius of where we are. So, looking to see if people are looking for specific characteristics. So I'm in Raleigh. If I'm looking for orthodontist in Raleigh, there's a good chance there's some sort of qualifier on there. Like maybe I'm looking for an orthodontist in North Raleigh, or
Hmm.
I'm looking for an orthodontist in Raleigh that's open on Saturday or has late hours, right? So looking to see what are those queries that people are putting in to try to find something like you can give you a good hint at what you should be creating so that you're showing up for those questions.
Yeah, I was just talking to a doctor up in Cary, right around the corner from you,
Yeah.
and he was telling me how many orthodontists are there. Like he's surrounded. So, like I was telling him, please make sure you differentiate yourself as one of the top priorities, because that's
Yeah.
going to be the hardest thing for you to do. You have to find something that makes you stand out. So of course I'm pitching them content as part of what we do, because
Yeah.
that's one thing a lot of people don't really take seriously in the orthodontic space, I think personally, because it's kind of taken for granted. And
Yeah.
I'm waiting for a couple doctors to take me up and start a podcast idea. No one wants to do
Yeah.
it yet. If anyone's out there
I
that wants to do it, let me make your orthodontic podcast, because you'll kill it.
Yeah, that sounds like a blast. Yeah, and I think there's a plenty of podcasts that like we're talking to the orthodontists, we're talking to the dental professionals, but yeah, the
Yeah.
patients need stuff too. So just got to find a way to kind of make it compelling for them.
let's talk about how we can use content to acquire new patients. I'm sure a lot of doctors would love to know, like, what does that journey look like for someone out there looking for a better smile?
100%. So the first thing is going to be that explainer kind of content we talked about, to make sure that for new patients who are doing searches, which is where the vast majority of product or service research starts,
Mm-hmm.
you want to have that content that's explaining in great detail with the appropriate keywords what it is that you offer and any of those differentiators, right? So it could be your hours or your specific background, your specialties, something about your staff or your facilities. Like having all of that really clearly detailed out, that's going to send the right signal to hopefully make sure that you're showing up when those new patients are looking for something like you, right? The other thing that's really important is to take a look at your Google My Business profile.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So this is, for anyone who's not familiar, this is that little panel that shows up that represents like your pin on the Google map, right? So your business, there's usually like a street view photo and maybe your business name and hours or phone number might be there. But if that's your business, you can claim that listing and you can add a lot more rich content to that. So you can add photos, you can add a keyword rich
So many
description.
people don't know you can really maximize that
Yeah,
profile. And it's
yeah.
something
I
you
mean,
can own that's free. Yeah.
exactly, right? And it's like Google is telling, Google's going to show Google stuff first.
Exactly.
So if someone's looking for you in the map, right, you want to make sure that you've got your best foot forward, so to speak. So
Yeah.
um, take advantage of that. There's lots of content out there on how to optimize it. We've got a piece on our blog actually specific for dental professionals on like the categories you can pick and
Awesome.
how to optimize that. But that's like a really like low hanging fruit, something really easy. You already know how to do it because you already know the facts about your own practice, right? So you can go ahead
Mm-hmm.
in and fill those details in. The other big missed opportunity I think is photos. As we all know, like dental and medical kind of in general is often like an anxiety producing experience for our patients. And so
Yes, yes.
for a lot of folks, being able to see ahead of time, like what does the outside of the building look like? How do I make sure I'm going in the right office or the right door if it's a shared facility? What do the treatment rooms look like? What's the waiting room look like? Is there Wi-Fi? Is there going to be a restroom? Like all those kind of questions, they seem so obvious to us, so simple to us, but for a potential patient, seeing that, being comfortable with that is really key. And I'll just give like a personal anecdote.
Yeah.
So I've got a toddler, and we just like this week got her to her first dentist appointment. And so I was
Oh,
doing this
wow.
exact process. Like I'm looking
Yes.
for pediatric dentists in my area. And the photos of the Google business profile is actually what made the difference for me because there were a lot of great reviews. A lot of them seemed, equally capable of serving,
Mm-hmm.
serving my daughter. Um, but when I looked at the photos of one, the entire office was sort of like ice age themed. So
Yeah.
there's like polar bears and like,
Awesome.
penguin stuffed animals and the chairs have like icicles on them, right? So I knew just by seeing the rooms, like this is going to be an experience that I know she'll appreciate. It's a lot more welcoming. Now I'm not saying you all need to go out and put penguin stuffed animals in your treatment areas, but
A theme
seeing
can
that.
definitely help if you're pediatric. I could see that.
Yeah, yeah. Or I mean, not even a theme, but just knowing like this looks like a comfortable, a warm, welcoming
Mm-hmm.
environment. This looks clean. This looks well stocked. I mean, all those kind of things, just seeing how it looks inside can be like an extra vote of confidence to check out your location.
Yeah, one of our clients is a dentist in Charleston, and her whole um, message is that it's like a spa experience.
Mm,
So you're going to the dentist, but it's really like you're going to a spa. And we're running a Facebook ad, and she just took her iPhone and they did it like from the point of view of a new patient walking through with the whole deal.
yeah,
And that ad did so well. The cost per click was so low. And it was because people really just wanted to see what it was like. She was new in town. We just launched the website like a month
yeah.
before. And it's just exactly what you're saying. It was very effective because it gave people the confidence. Oh, okay, this is a nice place. Let me check it
Yeah.
out.
Well, I call those the come on in videos, right? You open the door and you're like, come on in,
Yep,
camera. And you like walk them around,
exactly.
give them the little tour. And I feel like people love those.
Absolutely. And I mean, just you want to get to know the doctor and the team too. When we're building websites, a lot of times people won't have anything about the staff. They'll just have like photos and a grid and that's it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's it. We usually
Yeah.
try to do something so you can click on it and there's a pop-up or goes to a page and there's at least a
Yeah.
bio, what's your dog's name or something silly. Like you're
Yes.
a human being. You're not
Yeah.
just you're not
There's
just a coordinator, front desk person.
exactly. Well, there's a fellow marketing like author and speaker, Ann Hanley, who talks a lot about those tiny opportunities to differentiate and to show your voice, right? So
Yes,
there's so many places where we just leave we leave default text or, lorem ipsum or something. But we could be using that to show our personality, show our attitude as an organization. So things like the bio. I mean, imagine you're reading one bio of, one office and it's giving all their credentials and where they went to school and how long they've been doing this. Great, wonderful. You read another one and it lists their favorite band, their favorite ice cream flavor, their I don't know, like the best concert they've ever been to. And,
yes,
you kind of get a better sense of who they are as a person because like, let's be real, when I'm reading those descriptions, like I can't relate. I didn't go to that school for dentistry, but when I see that we like the same kind of music, or you also have the same breed of dog, or you also love to hike, like now all of a sudden I feel like I know you as a person, not just as a professional.
absolutely. So where do you think video fits in on all of this?
I mean, definitely the come on in videos. I think those are great. I think we should do come on in tours of the space for folks.
Hmm.
I think everybody should test that out because it's pretty easy to do. And like you said, just need an iPhone or a smartphone to capture pretty good quality for something like that.
Yeah,
I think again the staff pages, or like about the doctor, about the practice, those places are good places to do, whether it's intro videos or an interview style conversation with the staff. Those are helpful. I think if you're a professional who's got any sort of like press, or you've been on a podcast, or you've done, you've got a video interview from career day at your kid's school, like whatever it is, that's a good place to share outside content as well, just to kind of give people a sense of who you are. But video can also be helpful for education in a major way. Again,
absolutely. Yeah.
for especially in dental, medical, orthodontia, like we know that this stuff can make people anxious, and so for a lot of folks, being able to see that procedure or at least see an explanation of a procedure beforehand can ease a lot of anxiety and make them again feel really confident that like okay, they know what they're doing. Like this is watching this, it's clear that they're going to take good care of me. So even as you're listing services, it may be helpful to have, whether it's a case specific video, I don't know, there's a lot of HIPAA around that, but having even just like model explanations with your models in hand or something, or just walking through those steps can be
Mhm.
can be really, really educational and highly valuable. And again, that helps a lot with the search as long as you're using the appropriate metadata and tags on your videos too.
Well, Google's getting so good that hopefully we don't have to do the metadata or tags anymore. They're
Well,
really, really trying. We still have
they
to,
are
by the
really
way,
good.
anyone listening to this,
Yeah.
but uh,
I
they're, they're sure figuring out what we mean, even when we make a mistake.
I,
It's pretty impressive.
I always say, I'm like, you know what? The one thing Google can't do is watch video, right? They can process your tags, they can
Yeah.
process your captions, but they can't actually watch the video, right? So it's why that stuff is so important. But also why it's important to think about content format. Maybe
Mm,
you do want to have that video, but perhaps you use written explanation underneath, not only for search purposes but for accessibility. It's
absolutely.
not always that you can watch a video. You may be in the middle of something, or you may process information better when you're reading it.
My wife is absolutely like that. She hates watching video. I'm like, you're not normal, right? But there are people out there that really just don't like watching video.
Yeah.
And I was actually talking to someone at a business expo last week, and this would be a good segue. She loves TikTok, and I guess she was in her 50s, and she's like, I've been with TikTok since its inception. I was like, really?
Wow.
I've only been on there for about 6 months. Well, maybe a year now. Gosh, it's crazy. But anyway, so she's telling me how she uses it for search. That's one of the main things she does with it. And I was like, what do you mean you
Yeah.
use it for search? I knew you could do this, but I haven't tried it myself.
Yeah.
And she said, well, it forces everyone to get to the point. She's like, in YouTube, which everyone does, I believe it's still the second largest search engine, YouTube, if I
Yeah.
am not
It's up there.
outdated in my presentation. So I was like, TikTok. So she said, yeah, they have to get to the point. So if I want something fast, that's what I use. I'm like, that is very, very interesting. I mean, what a great opportunity for a doctor if you're going to like, what should I put on TikTok? Well, maybe
Yeah.
people were using it like a search engine too.
Yeah, 100%. And there's a lot of data that shows that Gen Z, especially, the same way that most of us would, who are millennials or older, would turn to YouTube for a tutorial on something.
Yes.
The Gen Z is looking at TikTok that same way. Like, I'm going to find somebody to show me how to do makeup or hair or, whatever they're looking up, a
That was one of
craft,
the
a
exact examples she
DIY.
used, hair, like how to do a
Yep.
hair thing. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, she's onto something, because I would very much rather watch a 2 or 3 minute video than, like, a 15-minute video with 8 minutes of personal history backstory before the
Mm,
steps come on screen, right? And I feel like we've all had that experience with a recipe. You find a recipe
that's
online,
so
right? And
true.
like the
Yeah.
first 12 paragraphs are just all about, like, when I was 8 and in the summer I went to the farm with my grandfather. And you're like, just tell me how to make lasagna.
Well, the worst is when you go somewhere with an intention and you're like, you kind of take for granted, well, they'll tell me at the end. And then you get to the
Yep.
end and they never told you. It's like, is
Yeah,
there a like mark as clickbait anywhere here? Like
there
Google
should
needs to
be.
make that like mark as spam for email. It should be like, this was clickbait,
Yeah,
click. No.
did not deliver on promise.
Yeah. Well, do you have any ideas about how someone can use TikTok to grow their practice? What would you say
Yeah,
about that?
100%. I'm glad to hear the story of your friend. You said was in her 50s and was using TikTok.
Yeah,
That's,
totally. So I knew that demographics there, but I haven't spoken to someone,
yeah.
you know.
But I think that's so important, because the way that we often see TikTok or even Instagram, some other social platforms, the way we see them represented, on the news or in media, it's usually like people who are much younger than us who are doing something we would never do in public, right? Like they're
Yeah,
they're dancing, they're singing, they're like, I don't know, pulling pranks or jumping off a bridge. Like, they're always doing crazy stuff. And
yeah.
it can kind of create this impression that the only way to succeed in those venues is to kind of like make a fool of yourself, or go way outside of your comfort zone, even if it's not, embarrassing specifically. And I think there's a lot of ways you can do things that you're already comfortable with. I mean, those come on in to work type videos, those would absolutely work, especially, vertical shot from your phone, that's a good thing to do there too.
Hmm.
um, the algorithm on TikTok also takes into account your locations. So whether you're looking for it or not, TikTok is going to show videos to people that they know are nearby. So based on my interest, for example, I will sometimes see content from thrift shops or marketers who are in my local area, just because it knows, like, these are people who have similar interests in the area to you.
Hmm.
So using appropriate hashtags, talking about your favorite restaurants in your community, giving a tour of where you like to do your hikes, right? We talked about kind of bringing your personality into things, leaning into that local element, and showing yourself outside of the office, or outside of the practice room, at least. Just being able to show your community is a great way to be found in local search, especially on TikTok. But I think the biggest thing about TikTok, even evidenced by what your colleague was saying about looking for things, it's very intent driven, and it thrives on educational content. Like, there's the entertainment, there's the singing dentist, like we all know singing dentist.
Yeah,
But there's also the educational side of it, right?
absolutely.
Like
That's
you can
90% of
also.
what I see on TikTok is educational stuff.
Exactly. So same things we were talking about before, walking through procedures, busting myths, common mistakes people make. I see a ton of what to eat or what not to eat with braces, for example. That's a really
Hmm.
common topic, and there's always something new. Like, there's always new, new products or new takes that we can have there. How to do certain things when you have braces, for example, is another one that comes up. Um, I think there's almost endless opportunities for you to share all of your knowledge that, again, we take for granted. But I think you can kind of use that same rule. If it's something your patients are asking you, if it's something you're getting emails about or follow up, or you have to repeat, there's a good chance that that would make a nice topic for a video that people are going to learn from and find value in.
Do you think there's a place for repurposing content? So you have a long form piece of content, but you're like, oh, could I put this on Instagram Reels and is it YouTube Reels it's called? And then
Is it
TikTok Reels.
shorts? YouTube
Shorts, that's
shorts,
right.
right?
Yes, it's all the same stuff. But
Everybody's
yes.
got their own stories now. Like, it just it just keeps going.
Yeah.
Oh man. But yeah, absolutely. I think repurposing your content is a really smart way to make the most of your efforts, because it's like we were saying before, like as if we're not busy enough actually
I know
working
if
in our
one thing
business, right?
orthodontists don't have is
Is
time.
time,
I mean, for
right?
sure, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So like we're over here telling you to go shoot videos and you're like, yeah, when I looking at my schedule, I do not see a block, right? Um, but repurposing content is a really good way to make the most of any time that you do invest in content. So my advice is always to start with video if you can, because that can be repurposed in the most ways. You can take
Hmm.
stills from a video to make images. You can make shorter cut downs of those videos. You have the audio that you can use, and then that audio can be transcribed. So it's really kind of like the master format video if you want to break it down into other things. Um, that's really my best advice, is to start big if you can, or as big as you can, right? And then break it down into as many smaller pieces as you can still find valuable. So that might mean getting clips of the best quotes from it, little sound bites, like you'll probably do with this conversation, right? Like grab some of those quick sound
Hmm.
bites that are interesting and use those on social media. You can use the text of those quotes as copy for social media, so as a caption, or so, as a post in and of itself. There's really almost an endless number of ways you can use the content in other places. The one thing to keep in mind, though, is that your audience and just the general audience in all of these places may not be the same. So you just want to be mindful of the fact that, people who are engaging with you on LinkedIn are probably looking for more professional content from you as a professional, rather than for your that's more likely to be colleagues and fellow dental professionals, for
Mm,
example, than say the
absolutely.
people who engage with you on Instagram, who may be looking for those beautiful before and after photos, and they're looking for more sort of like patient facing kind of content. So you just want to keep that audience in mind, because it definitely can change from platform to platform.
That's really good advice. LinkedIn is the really good one to bring up first because it's like super obvious. Oh, wait a
Yeah,
minute. Yeah. TikTok
yeah,
is purely entertainment. Maybe I shouldn't put those on LinkedIn.
yeah. The other thing that's crazy is, like, I wouldn't have expected this, but there is a really rich community of like niche accounts on social that are purely like ortho and dental memes, which is like a niche that you didn't. There's
Yeah.
an account on Instagram that's actually called SpongeBob Dental Memes. So it's like a niche within a niche, like all jokes about
No, I
dentistry, but
have
it's
not heard of this really. I'm
yeah,
going to
you have
look
to
this
find
up.
SpongeBob
That'll be
dental memes.
hilarious.
I'm not vouching for the quality of the jokes, but just to show you that like there are really like small niche communities out there doing the entertainment thing, doing the education thing. Like it's valuable to people. People enjoy it, whether it's fellow professionals or potential patients.
That's interesting. All right. So if we're starting to produce content, but we obviously don't have a lot of time. You have some
Yeah.
advice for optimizing the content, or maybe even outsourcing some of this work.
Yeah. The wonderful thing about content creation is that there are so many resources to help you do it, in a really scrappy or just more efficient way. So,
Mm,
I mentioned before transcribing. So if you do have any video or audio, there are services that for pennies, pennies per word or per minute, can transcribe that and give you decent, transcription word for word of what that is. There you have a blog post. One of the scrappy methods I love to recommend to folks who are busy is, there is undoubtedly a time in your day that is quiet enough for you to talk to yourself. You probably do this anyway, so we might as
mm,
well record it and turn it into
yeah.
something, right? So I do this all the time on my commute. If I'm driving somewhere, turn on a voice note, start recording. Could be just, you don't have to have a fully formed idea, but talk through one of these common questions, or why you got into what you do, or the backstory of the location and how you ended up where you were, right? Whatever comes to mind, just talk through that. You have that audio, and that can be transcribed into a blog post or a social media post. Make use of the in-between time that you do have, right? Turn it into content creation time. The other thing I recommend is mining your existing day for content. So this
Hmm.
is like what we were saying about, if you're writing an email that takes longer than a few minutes, there's a good chance that could be a blog post, or it could be a video or something else. So there are things you do throughout your day that could probably just be captured as is, at least in some regard, and turned into content. So a great example of this is a time lapse. Now, again, you want to be cautious with patients. There's rules and releases around all of that. But, if you're doing prep for the day and it's just kind of showing you going all around, right? Or cleaning up at the end of the day, the staff is kind of sterilizing and showing the team, or showing your patients how clean everything is, how you take such good care of your
Good
space,
idea.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's opportunities there to capture what's already happening and make that into something you can share just by capturing it. And that's probably one of the best ways when you feel like you don't have time is like, well, what do I have time to do? And how could that be a piece of content, right? That to me is like one of the best hacks.
Yeah, you're really putting on those content glasses and looking at your whole day through that lens, right? And all of a sudden
Yeah.
things are just going to pop up. That's a great idea. I
Yeah.
have one of my clients, we're considering, she has an extra room. And I was like, well, we could use it like a studio. Like if you're not doing anything with
Yeah.
it, if it's just sitting around.
I
And
mean,
then you
why
could just
not?
go in there and press the record button and start talking.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that's really easy to do too, and like we're so blessed to live and market in these times that we live in because there are
Yeah,
so many tools that are way more accessible than they like ever have been, right? What
so
a
true. Yeah.
gift for us. But it's very easy, don't get overwhelmed by all the equipment. Like it's very easy to get the bare minimum you need to create something. So just an example for anyone who's seeing us, like you can get a shelf and put it behind you and put up some of the things that are important to you. A picture of your family, some books that you like to read. You've got your degrees hanging on the wall. Almost always throw a plant in there, even if it's fake. It just looks nice, right? And now you've got a
That's
set
true.
for your videos. And
Yeah.
like that's like a 1 hour setup and like under $100, you've got a nice backdrop. Do that in one corner of your office, right? And now you have a thought, just twist the laptop, twist the computer so it's
That's a good
pointing toward that
idea.
corner, and you've got a little spot where you can do video on the spot. So setting stuff up like that, or like we mentioned, using your iPhone to just film video as you're moving throughout the space, I think it's really accessible these days. So that would be like my number one tip, I think, is don't don't build it up so much in your head that it becomes this like terrible, intimidating thing. I mean, we said it before, much like going to get your teeth cared for, right? Like it seems so scary if you build it up, but like it's not that bad. It's something you could do. Like it doesn't have to be a big ordeal. The truth is that some of the best content is the more casual, off the cuff, conversational, authentic stuff, like the highly
Mm,
polished content with, the bajillion-dollar studio. Like that stuff doesn't always feel true, right? It feels rehearsed, it feels scripted, and it may not even connect in the way that you're hoping. So don't be intimidated to just try some things.
great advice. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
I mean, I would love to see if any users can get some value over what we're doing over at GroupUps. So
Yeah.
GroupUps, for anyone who doesn't know, is a online buying group. What we're trying to do is help you connect with other doctors so that we can pool your POs together and help you get bulk pricing on things that you may not actually need bulk amount just yourself.
Mm,
So really cool service. We're fairly new, so we're really open to feedback. Would love to hear from anybody who has requests of like, I'm shopping for this really big thing and I need like some other doctors to team up so we can negotiate good pricing for you. And we did actually put together a discount code for your listeners. So
great.
Ortho Thrive listeners, if you want to check out our service, which is essentially access to a whole library of discounts, that code is going to be Ortho Thrive, all caps, one word, and that'll get you 50% off if you want to test out our premium subscription. So hopefully that
Awesome.
helps you save.
Well, Melanie, thanks. I appreciate the discount. 50% could go a long way for sure.
That's right.
Well, thanks for everything, and hope to talk to you soon.
Yeah, thanks for letting me share my story and share some content inspiration with your audience.
Absolutely. Take it easy.
Thanks.
If you'd like to be a guest on the show, just go to orthothrive.com. You can email me at richard@orthosalesengine.com. Keep grinding, keep thriving, and I'll see you next time.